Hello and welcome to the program UFO Warning. In this episode, we're talking about UFOs over Idaho. That's correct, UFOs over Idaho. This first sighting happened on May 6th, 2026, 7:36 p.m. Says duration a couple of minutes, observers 1 military. Location Spirit Lake, Idaho. Now, Spirit Lake is up there in the northern tip of Idaho, right along the edge of the state of Washington, if you want an idea where that's at. Kind of a mountainous area, it looks like. Location details: I was looking west trying to capture the sunset from the northeast corner of our property. Shape either color metallic like pewter. They've got a couple of pictures over here at Nuforc. Pretty cool. Estimated size approximately 25 feet long, viewed from land. Direction from viewer west, angle of elevation 28 degrees, heading north. Closest distance approximately 3,000 feet, measured using a map. Estimated speed: if it had been a car, I would estimate about 25 miles per hour. Possible explanation of balloon. I don't know. I'm looking at the picture. I'm not really seeing a balloon. Lights on object: a pewter-colored craft with window-like panels and projections sticking out in several directions. It looked like a bagel with a donut on top. The object appeared pewter-colored and not shiny. It had panels that may have been windows from the side. It reminded me of a bagel with a donut on top, a flattened version of a round object. That also appeared to have several projections extending in different directions. Below the panel was a dark groove running the length of the object, with a series of dimly lit round lights around it. The object appeared to be moving north, although it may have been traveling northwest. When I first saw it, one of the two panels, or windows, was facing toward me, and I could see a line separating it from the other panel. It then rotated so that the panel faced north and continued moving. I could be mistaken, but I thought there might have been a light or some other feature level with the panel on the left side from my perspective. It appeared to be a round discoloration or perhaps a faint glow. The object was quite far away, so my brain may have been filling in details. I found the projections particularly interesting. They appeared angular and were somewhat similar in shape to a narrow helicopter tail. I looked up common UFO shapes and found one that matched the object, supposedly photographed in 1963. I am familiar with this area and accustomed to seeing aircraft because there is a small airstrip about 4 miles away. I have seen unusual objects before, though not in this area, but this is the first one I have seen that looked like this. As a child, I frequently saw unusual objects with my brother, but for some reason, we never mentioned them to our parents, even though we would watch them from our back deck while our parents watched television inside. Those objects moved impossibly fast, and we observed them as solid lights. For some reason, we both seemed to know ahead of time when to go outside and watch them pass by. Nothing we have today can move as fast as they did back then. It was interesting to see an object like this rather than just bright lights. I am surprised it actually appeared in my photographs, even though the images are regrettably very blurry. I hope it returns so I can obtain better pictures, but we have lived here for more than 10 years, and this is the first time I have seen anything like it. Wow, that is cool. What a neat sighting. It sounds like this person has been seeing these things for a really long time. This next sighting is from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is not too far from Spirit Lake, the one we just did, south of there. It says that happened February 19th, 2026, 2:45 a.m. Duration 4 minutes, observers 1, location Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Details: at my home, shape cigar, color black. Estimated size approximately 2 to 3 car lengths, about 30 to 45 feet long. Viewed from land, direction from viewer approaching from the south, angle of elevation 60 degrees, heading northeast. Estimated speed difficult to estimate, approximately 2 miles per hour at a steady pace. Possible explanation, probable drone. Well, that doesn't seem like a drone to me, 45 feet long. That's pretty big. Characteristics: lights on object, emitted beams and changed color. I've never heard of drones emitting beams before. Witness statement: it had no propellers, rotors, or wings. It turned into a bright circular orb, and then a huge spotlight illuminated my entire home. Okay, so if it turned into a bright circular orb, yeah, it doesn't sound like a drone to me. I went outside because I woke up early that morning around 1:30 a.m. and could not get back to sleep. At about 2:30 a.m., I decided to go outside. It was quiet and dark. After a while, I began hearing something flying overhead at a relatively low altitude, though not extremely low. I could not see it at first. It did not sound like a helicopter or an airplane, so I walked around the corner of my house onto my deck, which overlooks a creek and pond on my property, to get a better look. When it moved over my property, I could see two solid red lights. They were not flashing. I live in a rural acre on 2.5 acres. I stared at the object for about 15 seconds, trying to figure out what it was. A drone, perhaps, or an unusually quiet helicopter. As I watched it, it appeared to morph into a large, bright, circular orb. At first, it looked like a jelly-like blob. Then it became a perfect, bright circle. Now, if anybody out there knows of a drone that can do that, please let me know, because I would be interested. Before I knew it, my property deck and even the inside of my home were illuminated by an extremely bright light for about 10 seconds. It almost seemed as if it had detected my presence. I panicked. I ran inside my house and locked the door. I watched it pass over my home and continue toward town. It appeared to be long, perhaps 2 or 3 car lengths. Before it was so dark I could not determine whether it was rectangular or cigar-shaped. I have never seen a drone that large. I considered whether it might have been a search and rescue aircraft or military equipment, but I have seen nothing on local social media suggesting any activity of that kind. If it had been someone operating a large drone with a spotlight, I would have expected to see the light before it was directed at my home and property. I saw no light at all until the object transformed into the bright orb. Well, let's think about this. I mean, how likely is it that we have the technology that a physical mechanical drone could just somehow transform into this blob of light and then into this circular, very well-defined orb? We're talking about some serious shape-shifting here. The entire event happened very quickly. Honestly, it felt like something out of a movie, and it terrified me. The UFO was not moving particularly fast. It maintained a slow, steady pace. This is investigative report summary. During an early morning walk outside of her residence, the witness, identified as Kay, observed 2 red lights flying slowly, approximately 400 feet above her home. Kay stated, after observing the lights, a huge spotlight shined down on her residence. When the light shut off, she observed a rectangular shaped craft fly away. On March 23, 2026, at 3:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I interviewed Kay by telephone regarding her UFO sighting on February 19th, 2026 at 2:45 a.m. PST. Kay noted that she woke up that morning around 1:30 a.m. and could not return to sleep, so she went outside and walked around her property. Now, how many times have we heard this? Someone's sitting at home, maybe they're in bed, they can't sleep, but they feel compelled to go outside. At approximately 2:45 a.m., she heard what she described as the sound of some sort of engine in the sky. When she looked up into the darkness, she observed 2 red lights. Kay stated that neither light was blinking, and because it was still dark, she could not determine what the lights were attached to. She does say this thing sounds like a motor, but then earlier she said that it didn't sound like a plane or a helicopter. So maybe the motor is just kind of a catch-all phrase for whatever sound this thing was making. Kay stated that she felt whatever the lights were attached to somehow sensed that she was observing it. She then watched as it appeared to morph into a perfectly round, bright orb. that projected a bright white light down onto her residence. According to Kay, the transformation initially resembled a jelly blob before becoming a bright circular light that illuminated both the interior and exterior of her home. She estimated that the light remained focused on her residence and yard for approximately 10 seconds. Kay reported that no damage occurred inside or outside the home. Kay stated that she panicked when the light illuminated her property and quickly ran inside her residence. Once inside, she observed the spotlight switch off and heard the engine sound again. She then observed what appeared to be a rectangular craft, approximately 28 feet long, moving away at a very slow speed. Due to the darkness, she was unable to see the craft clearly. Kay stated that the experience affected her significantly and that she couldn't eat for a couple of days afterward. She emphasized several times that she is familiar with conventional aircraft and drones. I think she's telling you this thing does not look like a drone to her. Conclusion. Research into the Coeur d'Alene area revealed the presence of both a private airport and a Navy U.S. acoustic research detachment located not far from Kay's residence. A drone expert consultant during the investigation advised that drones commonly use red lights on the rear of the aircraft for navigation. Yeah, but don't those things blink? The expert further noted that some military or law enforcement tactical drones may operate using only red lights. Based on the available information, I'm classifying this sighting as a probable drone. Keith Bickford. I don't know, man. I have to disagree with this because how many law enforcement agencies have an aircraft that's 28 to 45 feet long and going around shining lights in people's houses? I don't know. I really am concerned that a lot of these things are actual UFOs are being misidentified as drones, and that perhaps these craft are camouflaging themselves as drones. I mean, if you can see these things shapeshift right in front of you, the fact that she says this thing transforms into a ball of light like a jellyfish, and then she differentiates that it does go from this kind of amorphous blob into this very well-defined circular shape and then back into this drone shape again. So normally I agree with these investigators' conclusions, but on this one I do not. I think this has to fall firmly in the unexplained category. That's just my opinion. Okay, we'll move on to the next one here. This sighting is dated December 11th, 2025, duration 5 minutes, observers 1, location Melba, Idaho. Location details, dedication point is a Snake River overlook where I often use my telescope because of the dark skies. Shape aurora-colored orange viewed from land, direction from viewer southeast, angle of elevation 30 degrees. Appear to be moving toward me from the southwest, heading northeast. Closest distance unknown, but it appeared to be relatively low in the sky. Characteristics, lights on object, emitted other objects. After setting up my telescope, I was sitting and enjoying the evening while waiting for the clouds to move out. As it became nearly fully dark, I noticed an orange orb in the sky. At first, I thought it might be an airplane, but I quickly realized it was absolutely not an airplane because it seemed to appear out of nowhere. I then considered that it might have emerged from the clouds, but I remembered there were no clouds in that part of the sky. All of the clouds were to the north and east. I was looking toward the south-southwest when I first observed the object. The object glowed a bright orange color, almost golden orange, but it was not glaring. The light appeared contained within the object itself. It remained illuminated for about 3 seconds, then began to twinkle and glitter before disappearing. Several seconds later, it reappeared in a completely different part of the sky, further toward the southeast. It behaved exactly the same way, glowing for approximately 3 seconds, glittering and then vanishing. At that point, I activated the camera on my phone and waited for it to appear again. I was able to record it on 2 additional occasions. To rule out conventional aircraft, I checked flight radar and confirmed there were no flights visible in the area. Even before checking, I was confident this was neither an airplane nor a helicopter because it was not behaving like either, and its flights were unlike any standard aircraft lighting I have observed. While I was standing there, the object appeared again, this time directly south of my position. However, it did something different. It split into 4 very small orange orbs that trailed behind it for a couple of seconds. The smaller orbs then converged back into a single object, after which the light disappeared completely. I did not see the object again, even though I remained there for quite some time, waiting for it to return. That's interesting. Yeah, looking up and seeing this orange orb, and then at the very end, seeing it split into 4 separate orbs. It's something we hear about over and over again with these things. Definitely not man-made. We'll do a couple more here and wrap this up. This one's dated June 14th, 2025, 3:30 p.m. Duration 12 seconds. Observers 1. Location Meridian, Idaho. Details between Meridian and Star, Idaho. Time and distance lapse noticed. Observed over a farmer's field. Shaped disc, color black. Estimated size unknown. Viewed from land. Direction from viewer northwest. Angle of elevation 10 degrees. Heading direction not observed. Closest distance approximately 36 to 50 feet. Speed approximately 65 miles per hour. Missing time. Witness statement. I observed a large, dull, black disc-shaped craft with a second layer beneath it that appeared connected to the main craft. There were spire-like protrusions extending from both the top and bottom of the craft. When I first saw it, the object was hovering approximately 20 feet above a farmer's field just off the road. It was enormous, appeared old in design, and was a dull black color. Under normal circumstances, I would have immediately pulled over and taken photographs. In this case, however, I simply continued driving, which is very unlike me. After arriving home, I noticed a lapse in both time and distance. I did not tell anyone about the experience for 3 days. The craft produced no sound and no visible emissions. I was very close to it. I did not observe any windows, but it appeared large enough to accommodate the occupants. The sighting has made me a believer. I created a drawing of the object. Did anyone else report seeing it? And then she has a drawing of this thing here. Going through these reports, there are quite a few talking about these like flying saucer type craft, and I've seen a few pictures that they look pretty serious to me. I don't know. Investigation report between Meridian and Star, Idaho. Witness C, interviewed by Time. Date July 7th, 2025, 3:08 p.m. Interview summary. On July 7th, 2025 at 3:08 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I conducted a telephone interview with C regarding her flying disc sighting on June 14th, 2025 at approximately 3:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. C stated that she was driving on a highway between Meridian and Star, Idaho, when she observed a large matte black craft over a farming field. The sighting occurred in broad daylight under clear weather conditions. Despite the visibility of the objects, she did not observe any other drivers slowing down or stopping to look at it. According to C, the silent craft was hovering approximately 20 feet above the ground and was about 60 feet away from her vehicle as she passed it. She estimated the object was roughly the size of a water tower and appeared to be moving at approximately 65 miles per hour. C described the craft as having an archaic metallic appearance. It was a matte black and did not reflect any of the sunlight shining on it. She submitted a drawing with her original report because she found the object's shape difficult to describe. She added that the 5 lines extending from both the top and bottom of the craft resembled thick spires. C stated that she is familiar with conventional aircraft and agricultural equipment and was confident the object did not resemble either. In her original Nuforc report, C noted that she continued driving instead of stopping, which she considered unusual behavior for herself. Under the interview, she explained that under normal circumstances, she would have stopped to investigate the object further. Instead, she felt compelled to keep driving and not stop. I can understand that. C also stated that she considers herself highly sensitive and spiritual. What concerned her most was that she could not remember the drive home after observing the craft. She emphasized that she never felt threatened during the sighting, but felt as though the craft may have somehow influenced her thoughts. C suggested that the object might have been some form of communication craft. Conclusion. C was unable to discuss the sighting with anyone for 3 days. She struggled to understand both what she had observed and the apparent loss of time she experienced while driving home afterward. She reiterated that no other drivers appeared to notice the object, as none slowed down or stopped along the highway. She suggested the craft may have influenced the behavior of other motorists as well. A review of Flight Radar 24 data showed no aircraft corresponding to the sighting. I researched both conventional and advanced agriculture equipment and found nothing resembling the object by sea. I also showed the witnesses drawing to several local farmers, none of whom recognized it. I asked C to review the Nuforc gallery for image similar to what she observed. She identified a drawing from the June 29, 2023 Kyrgyzstan sighting as being similar to the object she witnessed. Based on the available information, I am classing this case as an anomalous sighting. Keith Bickford, Nuforc investigator. Yeah, definitely anomalous. These things showing up along the road like that, I mean, go figure. We'll do one last one. This last report is dated July 1st, 2024, 11 p.m. local time. Duration 1 to 2 minutes. Observers 2. Location Clark Fork, Idaho. Shape cylinder. Color translucent greenish, viewed from land. Direction from viewer traveling from the northwest horizon toward the eastern horizon. Angle of elevation 45 degrees, heading east slightly southeast. A ghostly greenish object, similar in color to an aurora, slightly translucent, yet solid in appearance. It looked like a perfectly straight rod of light traveling in a straight path while remaining diagonally oriented. I was camping with another person at the Clark Fork Driftyard. While unpacking our vehicle, a rod of light caught my attention as it approached from the northwest in the direction of the Sandpoint area. It maintained a steady speed as it moved toward us. As it passed overhead, it remained completely silent. We were unable to estimate its distance because it could have been in the upper atmosphere or even further out in space. From our perspective, it appeared to be approximately 1 inch long at arm's length, suggesting that it must have been quite large. We attempted to record it using an iPhone as it traveled overhead, but nothing appeared in any of the videos. I have seen Starlink satellites at various stages of deployment, and this object looked distinctly different in several ways. There were no visible individual lights or separate components. No portion of the object appeared brighter or dimmer than any other part, and there were no flashing lights. Color was a ghostly yellowish green, resembling the aurora. It appeared slightly translucent and showed no variation in color brightness. The object traveled in a straight path, moving primarily eastward with a slight southeastern component. However, it appeared to move diagonally as though it were a car drifting sideways. I focused carefully on its shape as it passed overhead. I have excellent vision, and the object appeared to have sharp, well-defined 90-degree corners. It was not blurry around the edges, nor was it rounded at either end. Instead, it appeared to be a solid, continuous, ultra-thin, rectangular bar or rod of light. At no point did the object change in brightness or apparent length from the moment it appeared until it disappeared beyond the opposite horizon. One final noteworthy aspect of the sighting was that despite both of us being completely sober and standing side by side while observing the object, we immediately described seeing two very different things afterwards. The other witness described seeing a snake of light that undulated or swam across the sky. In contrast, I clearly observed a rectangular bar or rod that moved in a straight path while maintaining a diagonal orientation. That little detail right there I like very much, because this is the sort of thing we hear about how the observer effect, I guess, how these things are viewed by the observer. Two people, both of them right there, they're not on drugs, they're not using drugs, both of a sound mind, it sounds like to me, and both of them seeing two somewhat different things. You just wonder what is going on here with the connection these things make with people. Very cool stuff. A lot of cool sightings in Idaho. Hope you liked the program today. If you did, don't forget to hit like, follow, subscribe. It doesn't cost a dime, and it really helps the program. Until next time, this is UFO Warning, over and out.